And continuing on what we were speaking in the morning in terms of multiple digital transformation initiatives happening today in the country. Am I audible? Thank you. And what kind of use cases, what kind of replications that can happen. I thought let me share a few examples because it would make it slightly more interactive, slightly more connecting to us in terms of what's possible. How many of you have used CoWIN? If you can raise your hands, please. Sure, thank you. I'm sure all of us have heard or used CoWIN, and we have been hearing CoWIN since morning multiple times also. So, do you know CoWIN is the world's largest vaccination platform that's been built? Because a country of India's size, the platform has administered 2.2 billion vaccinations. And it has got 1.2 billion registrations done, right? That's the size and scale we are talking about. And all this, in fact, Mr. Dilip was also talking about, Trizen partnering with AWS in terms of building CoWIN as an application. This application, when the crisis hit the country, the application was built in 2 weeks, grounds up. And we all know that, it's not just the, world's largest platform, I would say, but it's also the fastest grown tech platform in the world today because it started with few thousand registrations initially. We know that it was initially open only to the frontline workers and senior citizens. Then it grew to 200 million citizens, 200 million registrations within 4 months, and to 300 million registrations within 5 months. That's a phase at which the platform has grown. Probably the next slide, 1,000 words can be replaced with a simple picture, right? This slide reflects how it has grown, the scalability of the platform. This is what the slide depicts. When it started on 16 Jan 2021, it started with few registrations. And in fact, the API hits were some 2 million or something. But from then, it has scaled to 1.2 billion hits per day in May. That's the scale we are talking about, and that's the scale the platform could sustain. So what made it that sustainable platform? I think when we talk about the transaction trends again, the transaction trends was highly variable. There were times when it was only half hours, it was only 20 transactions per second, and then on a normal day it was around 20,000 transactions per second, and on any day, probably a day where there's a vaccination drive happening, etc. Then the transactions went up to 150,000 transactions per second also. So what helped in terms of like sustaining all this variability? There were almost 600 plus nodes that were being configured on an auto scale mode. So scaling is not only just up, scaling is also down. When you need it, you scale up, and when you don't need it, probably during the night hours, during the off-peak hours, you won't need it, you would scale that down as well, right? That's just flexibility and scalability we are talking about. And the data getting replicated or the data getting written to 3 DCs with 6 copies with multi-availability zone architecture. All this enabled that the platform was, the largest and also the fastest grown platform without a single second downtime as such, and no third-party applications used overall. If you see the application architecture, right from the databases to, the analytics that run on the top of that, to the compute, to the storage, to data streaming to multiple services, all powered on AWS, all native services of AWS used without a single second downtime. So, I'm sure Dilip was also talking about this. The application team was able to build this platform in 2 weeks grounds up. While there is a crisis, but how was it possible? A lot of times the application of size, when they are building this application, there's multiple infra consideration that comes into picture, right? In terms of, what's the compute needed, what is the storage needed, how would be my databases running, what kind of database do I need to take, and what is the network security, all these parameters, they need not even hassle, they need not think even a second, because everything was given in the back end for them. And the application team only focused on the business functionality in terms of what's the business functionality needed, how do I enable that. That's one aspect, and there's no need of pre-estimation of the resources, no need of infra configurations, because everything is configured on a auto scaling mode. And number 3, no perpetual licenses to be procured. That's the beauty of that. And this has become so successful. A lot of times we think that India borrows from the Western world, but this is one example where India could give back to the Western world, and India could demonstrate that even India can build for the world. Because CoWIN as a platform has been given to a lot of Southeast Asian nations also. Picking up one more example from the state, in terms of the digital transformation, let me pick up one example from the West, Maharashtra, because this is one state which has come up with a cloud policy way back in 2018, and they are pioneers in terms of the cloud transformation. If I have to talk about the scale at which the cloud transformation or the digital transformation happened in the state of Maharashtra, we are talking about almost 337 plus citizen services across 40 plus departments, state government departments, be it efficient water management system, to the direct benefit transfer, to tourism, to SMS pull and pull to the citizens. Multiple services today are getting delivered on a cloud platform. So that shows the power of cloud. One, that shows the flexibility and scalability that we can achieve with cloud, and the way emerging tech can also be used. Picking one example from the south, I want to pick up one example from Kerala, Keltron, the state PSU. They had their own data center, and they were struggling with multiple issues in terms of performance issues, latency issues, scalability issues, and over a period of time, they looked at how do they modernize their infrastructure. That's where Kerala looked at having a hybrid cloud architecture. And with a lot of industry deliberations where it's a long drawn evaluation process, we all understand government has to procure through the right process. Process is extremely important in a government mechanism. And that's why they floated an expression of interest. They looked multiple insights in terms of industry consultations and all that. Post that, there is a detailed RFP evaluation process again, technical evaluation, commercial evaluation, and then they could select at AWS Outpost as a solution. What do I mean by AWS Outpost as a solution? It's a rack with 40 plus services embedded onto the top of that, be it compute, storage, network security, databases, analytics, everything offered as a managed service with a single pane of control. So be it cloud or be it on-prem, while the rack gets delivered to your on-prem data center, the best of cloud you get at your doorstep. That's the beauty of that, and the security, whatever the best security that you get in terms of a cloud infrastructure like a hyperscaler infrastructure, that you will be getting at your doorstep. And in the process, they also got empaneled, they also got subscribed to the regional services of AWS. That way, they could leverage best of both worlds, being on-prem, being on cloud, and highly complex applications which needed low latency needs. They decided to put it on AWS Outpost, and applications which don't need that kind of latency, they looked at leveraging AWS cloud in terms of making innovation possible in terms of emerging technologies using AI, ML, etc. They could do that. That's a transformation that Kerala has done. And one more industry that got hit during the COVID time is the transport and hospitality industry, right? There was, a lot of times, we were all home stuck, and of course the flights were laying in the hangover, and no travel happened during that point of time. So that's a time when Ministry of Civil Aviation has come up with this problem statement. How do I make the travel hassle-free? How do I make it contactless? Because less contact, the better is the mantra during that point of time. And the problem statement was, how do I make the travel without any documents? I don't need to carry any documents, no Aadhaar, no passport, nothing. I just walk into that, and I should get an entry into the airport. Can my face be the boarding pass? That was the problem statement. And using facial recognition powered by AWS, I think Dizzy Yatra was launched, so successful across multiple airports today, making travel hassle-free for all of us. Slightly switching the gears and looking at the future of digital workforce, because I strongly believe that if we can change the country or if we have to change the country, that is possible only when as individuals we change ourselves, we are empowered, we are educated, we have the right kind of skill set, be it the cloud skills or the AI skills, right? This is the philosophy of AWS as well, and since 2017, we have almost helped making 5.9 million people impart the cloud skills, and cloud ready skills were imparted to around 5.9 million people. And in fact, there is another program called AI Ready that is launched recently, which talks about imparting 2 million folks globally the AI skills by 2025. And just because we are talking about education and skilling, let me touch about National Skill Development Corporation, which is again a nodal pioneering body. The ambition of NSDC is to skill and upskill almost 400 million people in the country on various technologies, and NSDC is today powered, be it their SAP HANA applications to other applications like Skill India Digital Hub, where a lot of online learning happens. All these platforms are powered by AWS, and NSDC is today breaking the barriers of physical learning to a more collaborative, personalized learning online. Picking up another example from utilities, because since morning, of course, you might have seen me multiple times. I was saying that this can happen across multiple sectors. It can happen across multiple sectors. The possibilities exist. When we look at MSCDCL, way back 5 years back, it was having all its infra on-prem. They were having their own servers, storage, and all that running in their data center, and again struggling with the performance latency issues at that point of time. A lot of issues in terms of customer citizen management, because these are all citizen-facing applications, that the customer billing applications and all these applications are citizen-facing applications. That's when they decided to move to AWS, and 5 years back they did the transition. With that transition, initially you see that there were around 300 plus servers footprint on-prem, and a lot of optimization happened during this journey, and the footprint has also got decreased to 100 plus application servers with auto scaling enabled with a multi-AZ architecture, and they have been a very happy customer, which is a referenceable customer. As a policy from AWS, I can only talk about the customers who are referenceable for us. That means they give their consent in writing to talk about them. So these are the referenceable customers. That's why I'm talking about them. How many of you have used DigiLocker? Again, I see a lot of raised hands. Government is also looking at paperless governance, and we all want as citizens, wherever we go, we are being asked multiple documents, right? We are being asked to produce the Aadhaar, we are being asked to produce the PAN card or passport, multiple things. But sometimes we do forget things, and it creates a hassle sometimes. So with DigiLocker now, that hassle is removed, because you have a digital locker where you restore your documents and you access your documents whenever you want. With 123.86 million registered users and 5.6 billion issued documents, that's the scale we are talking about in terms of the application being powered by AWS. Portion tracker again, India as a country, we see there are around 100 million children who are suffering with malnutrition, and as a country, can we become a malnutrition-free country? This application helps in terms of making India malnutrition-free, and it's powered by AWS. Again, the statistics are readable, so I'm not reading that for you. But we are again talking about large-scale, citizen-scale platforms powered by cloud, powered by the emerging technologies in terms of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and India AI Mission. Bhavesh was talking in the morning. I think there's a large drive that's happening in the country today at this point of time. in terms of large language model development, and technology is available for you. It is only up to you in terms of how you leverage that for the betterment of the citizens, be it governments, be it startups, be it industry partners. I think the resources are available at this point of time. We already spoke this in the panel discussion in terms of how AI can be leveraged across multiple sectors, be it policing, in terms of cyber security and fraud detection, to automated process and smart systems, to in policy making, how do you use that. So I'm not going to touch upon that. Again, in terms of AI for citizen services, again, it can be leveraged across multiple sectors, be it health or agriculture or e-gov, transport, utilities. There's humongous possibilities existing in terms of optical character recognition to natural language processing to speech to text translation to multiple possibilities exist today, and it's all up to us in terms of how we leverage those technologies. With that, I look forward to a lot of collaboration, and I look forward for all of us coming together in terms of building an India of tomorrow. Thank you so much.